Namaskara and welcome to another round of conversations with the Hindu on things related to Karnataka Lok Sabha elections. In the first round of conversation we talked about the 14 constituencies that went to polls in the first phase, and now we are headed to the second phase where the remaining 14 will go to polls on May 7th. So that is, which is mostly in North Karnataka and Central Karnataka districts. To tell you, I mean, over the last few days, the campaign has been very intense in these parts. All the state and national leaders have, descended on these districts, and we have had very heated campaign. So, what is fueling this? Fueling this heat is also the recent case of the alleged sexual exploitation by MP Prajwal Revanna. That is also added to the heat of the campaign. To give you a bit of background, 2019 elections in these 14 constituencies literally saw BJP sweeping all the 14 seats. And Congress was virtually left nowhere in these 14 constituencies. So much so that AICC, who is now the AICC chief, Mallikarjun Kharge, was also lost. It was a very bad defeat for him in his own home turf, and he was known as Solilla the Saradara. For somebody who had never tasted defeat, that was a very bad scenario. But now resurgent Congress, and apparently resurgent Congress with a good win in the assembly elections last year, and apparently very robust campaign, apparatus and campaign in hand is going ahead in North Karnataka. So we'll have a more granular conversation about what's happening in those parts and what the electoral scene is like. I'm joined by Girish Pattanashetti in Hubbali. My colleagues who report from North Karnataka are joining me. And I have Rishikesh Bahadurdesai from Belagavi and Kumar Buradikatti from Kalaburagi. So I think we can start with Girish by asking you what has been one of the very big question in the last few days. The death of Neha, a college student who was killed on the college campus. So that has fueled a lot of Hindu-Muslim divide kind of campaign and all that. So they've called it a case of love jihad. BJP has called it a case of love jihad, and that has been countered by the Congress and so on. So how do you see that? And after that, a few days later, we have the case of Prajwal Revanna. So is one masking the other? What is the role? How do you think these kind of incidents really will impact the way voters will vote, the voter behavior? How do you see that?
Before I go into the question, let me just give you a brief introduction regarding what North Karnataka is all about. The thing, North Karnataka is a mixture of different cultures. It was ruled by Vijayanagara rulers. There were Bahmani sultans also, and it was part of the Maratha Empire also. So we see in North Karnataka a mix of all these cultures. And most importantly, we have a syncretic tradition wherein we have the Sufis also. But having said that, in the last few decades, North Karnataka has changed a lot, especially with regard to the emergence of Hindutva thought, especially after the Eidgah riots. A lot of things have changed, and a lot of activities with regard to the Hindutva, those who follow Hindutva ideology, they are quite active in this region, especially in the Bombay Karnataka, which we call as Kittur Karnataka now. Kalyan Karnataka, of course, has a different tradition where more of syncretic tradition is there. Having said that, particularly with regard to the Neha Hiremat case in Hubbali Dharwad, before the campaign started in this region, the BJP was actually grappling for an issue to build its narrative. And Neha Hiremat came as if a blessing in disguise. Ever since the BJP camp has been playing on that Hindu-Muslim narrative after this incident happened, and they're trying to build it further. And the way it was picked up on the very same day, ABP activists were on the road. The next day, the visits of the BJP leaders started, and till date, one after the other, they are visiting the family of Neha Hiremat. And in a way, the parents of Neha Hiremat have also helped a bit in building that narrative for BJP. Although he's a Congress
Congress.
corporator, he has been wavering in his stand against the whole issue as such, which actually helped BJP a lot in this regard. And that's the reason why even when Amit Shah came here just 2 days before, he mentioned that Neha Hiremat case. And of course, he didn't mention about love jihad and other things, but he did mention that the Congress government has failed to handle the case. And even he said, if you're not able to handle it, give it to us, we'll handle it.
Okay. So,
All these
what I want to know is also whether these kind of issues actually have a resonance among the electorate. Do you think, I mean, since you go on the ground and report on these things, do you see this being discussed widely, that possibly influencing the way people vote, or is there a
yeah,
certain? Mm,
yes. The question here is whether the people are going to listen to what the BJP is saying. As you know, BJP is good at building narratives, and the same has happened with regard to Neha Hiremat case also. And the people, especially the party workers, are taking this message forward to all the villages across North Karnataka, particularly in the Bombay Karnataka region, wherein they have a strong presence of various Hindutva outfits. Through them, they are trying to build this narrative, and people to some extent are being brainwashed to, in a way, to see that this is a case which is going to happen again and again if Congress comes to power. So
okay.
that, having said that, there is another issue with regard to how Congress handled the whole issue as such. Initially, there were some mistakes that were committed by the ruling party, which actually helped BJP in this regard. But subsequently, they have mended their ways. And one of the issues that actually affected the BJP's this narrative was the big Muslim support. They came out in large numbers in support of Neha Hiremat, a thing which has never happened before. Only on few occasions such protests were taken out, but in this case, they came out in large number in support of Neha Hiremat, and even they said they are not going to allow anybody from the community to represent the accused of. So, although BJP has been trying a lot to build this narrative and convert that into vote, to some extent, Congress has countered it in a effective manner. That's what I
Yeah,
can say.
like you said, they also downed the shutters. I mean, the Muslim traders observed a bandh in support of Neha and her family, which was a
Yes, yes.
gesture that was quite appreciated, I think.
In fact, the very next day, Munvalli, the village from which this accused Fayaz he comes, the same day they observed Bandh, and they came out in large number seeking punishment for the accused. And after few days, people, Muslim traders and organizations in Hubbali, Dharwad, they also came out. In Haveri, they came out, and in other parts also they came out, along with religious heads from Veerashaiva Lingayat community to which Neha Hiremat belongs to.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you mentioned the Eidgah issue. For those who may not know much about the Eidgah controversy, can you very briefly say what it is and tell us how it has? I mean, it has happened since the 1990s, right?
Yes.
And its electoral outcome is seen 2004 onwards. 2004 election onwards, Congress has never won more than at the most 3 seats. Maximum that they have won was 3, and the last election they won none. So, can you say a little bit about Idgah, like in very briefly for those who may not know because it's been a long time, but that is seen as the genesis of the surge of Hindutva and the BJP in that region.
So, for those who don't know much about the Idgah issue, the landmark junction in Hubbali is Kittura Chennamma Circle. Next to which is the Idgah Maidan, which was given on lease by the municipal corporation to the Anjuman-e-Islam for praying twice in a year. It was on a lease of around 99 years. What happened next in the 90s was that Anjuman, having begun offering prayers twice in a year, wanted to build a small structure at the Idgah Maidan for commercial purposes. So that is how the opposition to actually the Idgah issue came up, caught the attention of the whole nation as such. They the Hindutva organizations in Hubbali Dharwad, they objected to that building of the commercial structure at the Idgah Maidan. It was, of course, subsequently stopped, and then the matter went to the court. After that, what happened was that the Hindutva outfits, they saw an opportunity to make it an issue, a bigger issue, and they wanted to hoist the national flag at Idgah Maidan, and which was, of course, opposed by the Anjuman-e-Islam then, because it was the Idgah Maidan, and that's how the whole problem started. And then subsequently, in the later years, the Hindutva outfits, they came, they wanted to hoist the national flag. Somebody barged into the, there was heavy security around the Idgah Maidan. On Independence Day, they wanted to hoist the national flag. They barged into the playground, the Idgah Maidan actually, and then it was hoisted, but subsequently violence started. The police wanted to obstruct them, and they removed them from that place. So as the national flag was removed from the place, the whole hell broke out, and the problem started. And subsequently, national leaders came in. It became a big issue, and it went on for quite a long time until the Devegowda government, which came up in subsequently came to power in Karnataka. He negotiated a truce between the Anjuman-e-Islam and the municipal corporation, and then Anjuman-e-Islam itself started hoisting the national flag at Idgah Maidan. But before that, there was a police firing in which people were killed, and that again led to a lot of communal violence within the region in Hubbali Dharwad and also in surrounding areas of Hubbali Dharwad, which actually caught the attention of the whole. And even today, Hubbali Dharwad is considered a communally sensitive area, although it hasn't seen quite not many cases of communal violence in these years.
Yeah, so I thought it was important to just put it in perspective in the sense of, see why the region is what it is. I mean, in a lot of ways, a lot of the politics there stems from there, right? So now I think Girish will come back to you. I think for now we'll move to Belagavi, Rishikesh. So just want to ask you, there is the issue of religious issues there. I mean, of course, in Belagavi also this issue is prominent, but Belagavi is a little more complex because the linguistic issue also gains prominence. Belagavi being, continuing to be a place which Maharashtra Ekikaran Samiti wants merged with Maharashtra, and that Marathi Kannada narrative is pretty strong there. How do you see that working out? I mean, in the electoral politics, how does that play a role, and how do political parties and leaders negotiate that? Could you tell me something about that?
Maharashtra, good morning. Maharashtra Ekikaran Samiti, or MES, is a 70-year-old party. It was formed after the State Reorganization Committee's recommendations suggested that Belgaum should stay with Karnataka. So they have been demanding merger of all Marathi-speaking areas, around 856 villages and towns, starting from Bidar to Belgaum. It has had a lot of influence on the local body polls. For example, since 1970 to 2022, tickets in the Belgavi City Corporation were not issued on party lines by any party, neither Congress nor BJP nor Janata Party, anybody. Everyone fought as an independent, and once they had won, they were grouped into Kannada, Marathi, and Urdu groups, and not as political groups. Only in 2022, Congress and BJP distributed tickets based on party lines. Secondly, MES has had mixed results in the assembly polls. Their best results were in the 1990s when they won 6 seats one time and 5 seats in another time. But then they have never won any assembly seat after 2019. And they have never won a parliamentary poll. Their best performance in Lok Sabha was in the bypoll held after the death of Suresh Angadi, former union minister, when MES nominee Shubham Shalke got around 1.24 lakh votes against BJP's Mangala Angadi, who was Suresh Angadi's widow. Now, there are two finer differences between the MES vote bank. One is the Maratha voter and another is the Marathi voter. The first one implies the caste and the second one includes SC, STs and OBCs and Vaishya communities that speak Marathi. So MES had significant vote bank in both these groups, but now it seems to have lost a large portion. The reasons seem to be, one is the younger generation that has gone to English medium schools does not have the same emotional connect to the Marathi cause as its earlier generations. Second reason is the rise of the Hindutva forces like BJP and Sri Ram Sena Hindustan. Because Hindutva is not an ideology alien to the MES. Because the MES flag itself is saffron, Bhagwa. And they always raise slogans about Shivaji and Sri Ram, etc. The third is a very local reason, which is the factionism among or infighting among MES leaders. Now, there are some interesting facts in this election. MES has fielded candidates from Belagavi and Uttar Kannada, which was earlier called Canara. In Belagavi, the MES is expected to cut into the vote share of the BJP, as the MES vote bank consists mostly of Maratha youth. But in Uttar Kannada, it is likely to cut into the votes of the share of the BJP and the Congress, as Congress candidate Anjali Nimbalkar is a Maratha. However, MES is facing some dissidents also. A faction led by former MLA Shivaji Sundkar has announced support to BJP candidate Jagdish Shettar and not its own party nominee Mahadev Patil. And in Uttar Kannada, there are two MES candidates, Niranjan Sardesai and Krishnaji Patil. Because MES is only a registered party and not a recognized party, all its candidates are treated as independents and they are not allotted any stable symbols. But then definitely there will be some political influence of the MES in both seats. That is the
Okay. So as a linguistic identity, I mean, one thing is the MES as a party, another is this question of linguistic identity. Does that influence in a big way, or is it overtaken by the larger party and one is party loyalties, another is the ideological divide? Has this linguistic, does it still, because I'm asking this because Belagavi is a very unique case in that sense. Do people vote on...
Yeah, I understand it this way. One, the cultural influence of MES even today is very, very strong. For example, MES has a very big and old cultural center where national level Marathi theatre festivals are held, Marathi films are shown, Marathi reading rooms are organized. So, as a cultural influence, MES is very strong. However, its political influence is very different. As I said, in local body elections like city corporation, MES has higher presence, stronger presence. But when it comes to assembly and parliament, its political influence is less. The reason, as I understand it, is that the Marathi voter or the Maratha voter who used to support the MES has now shifted his loyalties to the BJP and Sri Ram Sena wherever they fight. So I think that is the answer.
So since you're talking a lot about culture and Girish also mentioned it, So I want to digress a little bit and ask you, since it's also an area of great interest to you personally, Rishikesh. I mean, like North Karnataka is a very diverse region, and those of us who come from Malnad or Bangalore or Old Mysore region see a certain, like they used to say Madrasi for all South Indians. I think Old Mysore people and coastal and Malnad people have a tendency to call all of North Karnataka as North Karnataka. Understanding very little that it's a very culturally diverse place. It's linguistically very diverse in the sense that language of Kalaburagi is not the same as the language of Dharwad, and syncretic cultures are so vastly different. When you go to a place like Kalaburagi, you really see it so strongly as a part of everyday life. And music wise, Dharwad is such a great music center. When you look at the climate, even Sandur is nothing like Gulbarga in terms of even climate. So there is an ignorance about North Karnataka among the non-North Karnataka people who don't either hail from there or don't live there. So I just want I want to just off the cuff, can you tell me two instances where the ignorance about North Karnataka shows? And as a secondary question to that, I want to ask you, is the electoral behavior of North Karnataka, if you look at it in a very, very broad strokes, is it significantly different from South Karnataka, or has it become somewhat homogenized over a period of time? So two sides to my question, and I know you can give a very long answer to that, but I want a very short answer, given that we don't have too much time.
You see, politically administratively, the districts of North Karnataka are divided into nearly 100 assembly seats and 12 parliament seats. So, and we have two revenue divisions. One is the Gulbarga division, another is the Belagavi division. As you have rightly pointed out, it's a very, very diverse and very different culture in every district. In fact, I would go to the extent of saying in every taluk. There are 3 or 4 major differences. One is the linguistic difference. For example, South Karnataka may term the local accent as North Karnataka accent, but North Karnataka accent is extremely diverse and different. For example, Gulbarga accent is very different from Belgavi accent. And then North Karnataka districts, Northwestern Karnataka district, which border, say, from Goa to Maharashtra, the people either speak a mixture of Kannada, Marathi and Konkani, or there are villages and hamlets where people don't speak Kannada at all. So, but then in Northeast Karnataka, where there is an influence of Urdu, Telugu and Marathi, the language is a mixture of the 3 languages. And of course, there are in fact towns and hamlets and villages where people don't speak Kannada at all. They speak either Telugu or Marathi or Urdu. This is the difference. Secondly, climatic differences. There's a variety and huge climatic difference in the districts of North Karnataka. For example, Uttar Kannada district gets around 3000 mm of rainfall compared to Bagalkot, which is the least rainfall receiving district in Karnataka, and gets around only 400 mm rainfall. And similarly, agriculture cropping pattern, all these districts, most of the districts were typically jawar growing districts and millet growing districts and chili and cotton growing districts. But after irrigation, they have all become sugarcane growing districts and in some places, for example, sunflower and soybean growing districts. So that is again another difference. Third difference is slightly political, which is the caste dominance. We tend to believe that the whole of North Karnataka has Lingayat dominance, but it is not so. Some seats, for example, like Gokak, Chikkodi, Yamkan-Maradi and Arabhami have a large number of SC, ST and OBC votes that can decide the poll fortunes of nominees. Similarly, in a district like Uttar Karnataka, there is very little Lingayat dominations. The seats are dominated by OBC Nayakas, ST Devuru, and Bidar parliamentary seat has the second highest portion of Muslims after Dakshin Kannada Lok Sabha seat. Then, as Girish was pointing out earlier, there is a large and living cultural influence of the Sufi Dargah culture on everyday lives of not only Muslims but also Hindus. For example, if you take the accent and the local terminology words that are used, a lot of words use a mixture of three languages. I always keep saying my favorite word is Motichur Laddu. Motichur Laddu has three languages: Kannada, Marathi, and Urdu, and people use it without realizing it is a mixture of three languages. And then, for example, gods that we worship. There is a very interestingly, for example, if you take deities like Saudati Yellama and Mangsuli Mallana, they attract more devotees from Maharashtra rather than Karnataka. And there is a deity called Khadar Linga, who is the family deity of Lingaites in Bijapur. And then there is deities like Khandoba and Mayakka, Chinchili Mayakka, who are human beings, deified human beings, who are found in the Marathi folklore, but their temples are found in Karnataka. So this is the cultural point. The second point, which I have been observing, is the political preferences of the local people. One is, in South Karnataka, there is general higher level of education and political awareness compared to North Karnataka. Most assembly seats, especially in assembly, and even in some parliamentary seats in North Karnataka, people tend to base their electoral choices based on the local leader and his personal loyalty and not the political party. It's only in the last 10 years or so that political party affiliation has overshadowed other affiliations. Otherwise, there are several parliament seats where if you go and ask the common man in the street, he say, we will vote for whoever our leader or Sahukar will say. They have very little understanding about which party he belongs to. He may be in one party yesterday and another party tomorrow, but they don't bother. But in South Karnataka, there are very clearly drawn political ideologies, identities, and people usually don't tend to change their political affiliations unless there is a very strong reason. In North Karnataka, it so happens that if their leader changes their party, the voter seems to change it very quickly without any argument in his hand. That is my understanding.
Okay. Thank you, Rishikesh. We'll come back to you. Now, I think we can bring Kumar in. Kumar, you are in a place where Kharge is a force to reckon with. But he had a very bad beating in the last election. And this time, his son-in-law is fighting in his what used to be his constituency. So can you tell me something about what all is at stake? Because as an AICC president now, for him, it's not just a constituency. It is just that I think the whole Hyderabad Karnataka region, or what is now called Kalyana Karnataka region, a good showing for Congress is for him personally also very important. So we see him campaigning there every day. Very unusually has been very emotional also in some of his speeches. At one instance, he even said, if you don't vote for me, at least come to my cremation and things like that, which is very uncharacteristic of him also.
Most challenging election for Mr. Kharge. His political journey began in 1972 with a very good, spectacular victory in Gurmitkal Assembly segment in 1972. After that, he won in total 9 assembly elections and 2 Lok Sabha elections in a row. So, unfortunately, in the last election in 2019, he badly lost. His margin was, the defeating margin was over 95,000 votes against his nearest rival BJP's Dr. Umesh Jadhav. So Umesh Jadhav was earlier, as we all know, he was with Congress. He was the follower of Kharge himself, and he was the follower of former Chief Minister late N. Dharm Singh. And he quit he quit Congress and contested election against Mr. Kharge. After Kharge's defeat, he is usually known as very loyal to Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and total that Gandhi family. He was elected as a member of Rajya Sabha and later made leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha. Now he is All India Congress Committee president. So even after his defeat, Congress did not leave him. So he himself admitted in one of the recent rallies that after his defeat in Lok Sabha, he got very important, very good positions in party as well as in the parliament. Anyway, now Mr. Kharge's son-in-law, Radhakrishna Dodmani, is the Congress candidate, and BJP is continuing with Umesh Jadhav. So for Kharge, this is not just another election. It is very, very important election for him. He cannot afford another defeat in his hometown, because being the AICC president, if he loses another election here, because that fight between Radhakrishna and in Kalaburagi Lok Sabha segment, it is not seen as the fight between two candidates. It is the fight between AICC President Mallikarjun Kharge and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is how the battle is seen here. So Kharge, he lost the last election, and he cannot afford to lose this election also. If he loses, it will be a big humiliation and insult at the national level. That is why he is doing everything to ensure that his son-in-law, that means Congress candidate, will win. So firstly, he is, as you may have seen, he is focusing on Gulbarga. Being AICC president, he is required to roam the country and campaign for his candidates. Of course, he is doing. I am not saying he is not doing that, but particularly he is giving adequate time for Kalaburagi also to ensure that Congress candidate is there. This is one thing. And he is addressing mass rallies and holding closed door meetings, guiding the local leaders, local cadres on the poll strategies and all that he is doing. And one day he is here, next day he is somewhere, again he'll come back next day to campaign for his son-in-law. That's one thing. Secondly, he is also, as you said, he is also playing emotional card also. So in one of the election rallies in Afzalpur recently, he even said, even if you don't vote for me, please come for my funeral. That's how he is. Already people are in a way they are sympathetic to Mr. Kharge, because they have defeated him in the last election, and they must have realized they are already in a guilty mood. So this kind of emotional remarks from the veteran leader definitely touch the heart of the people, and they will play their own role in the election. Whether they are completely, they will be converted into votes or not, that's a different question, but it will have its own contribution to that direction. And thirdly, all senior leaders they have camped in Kalaburagi, like RDPR minister and Priyank Kharge, who is also son of Mr. Kharge senior.
The whole family is campaigning there, and you see a lot of national leaders also coming.
They are doing hard work. And another leader, that medical education minister, is also camping here. So they are all working hard to ensure the victory of Mr. Dodmani.
Kumar, another question while on the subject of Hyderabad, Karnataka, is also 371J. That is something that, it has happened. It's been a while since the special status was given, but still it is being talked about. Like UPA, it happened during the UPA time. So Kharge often talks about it also. So how important is that issue? Are people... But there were also very many complaints about the way 371J was implemented. So how is that? Can you very briefly tell me? Because we are trying to sort of, cram in as much as possible in a short duration.
Okay.
If you can be brief about it?
Well, special status to Hyderabad, Karnataka is now, which is called Kalyana Karnataka, is accorded under Article 371J of the Constitution in 2012 by the UPS second government, when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister and Mr. Kharge was Senior Minister in the Union Cabinet. As you must have observed that ever since this Article 371J was implemented, it has been haunting BJP here in this region, because in 1999, when NDA government was in power at the center, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, and LK Advani was Deputy Prime Minister, and he was also the Union Home Minister. So in Karnataka, S.N. Krishna was Chief Minister. S.N. Krishna had written a letter to Union Home Minister LK Advani demanding Article 371J for the Hyderabad, Karnataka. But Advani had rejected it on various grounds. He was of the opinion that if region-based reservation is given to one region, other regions also may also claim the same status. So that's why he rejected. But that rejection, after UPA second came to power, because of Kharge's interest, because he had taken much interest in it, and he pushed the matter in the parliament. That's why in 2012 it was enacted. Article 371J was inserted into the constitution to give special status to the region. Now, after that region, that status came into force, thousands of people, students from Hyderabad, Karnataka, are getting medical seats and engineering seats. Earlier, the number was not so high. And similarly, the candidates from the region are getting reservation in government jobs. Thousands of jobs are being offered to the people from the region. So benefits are actually, it has opened the floodgates of development in the region. Apart from this reservation, the region is also getting special grants for the infrastructure development. So people are understanding who did what, and Congress is not missing even a small opportunity to corner BJP, because BJP had rejected the demand. We have fulfilled it. So they term it to BJP as an anti-Kalyana Karnataka party. So in earlier, when it was enacted in 2012, Congress did not claim the credit as aggressively as it is doing now. After 2018 defeat in assembly election, or 2019 Lok Sabha election defeat, they must have realized that we should claim forcibly. So now they are recalling how Advani had rejected the demand, and how we implemented it, because this is constitutional amendment. Congress did not have enough majority to amend the constitution. Kharge himself met each and every opposition leader and the UPA alliance leaders and convinced them to accept this demand. So unanimously it was accepted in the parliament. So
that's interesting, because they are, the Congress strategy of now claiming credit for it and cornering BJP is interesting, because parallelly they're also talking about how center is showing stepmotherly treatment in grants and so on. Probably these two, for Hyderabad Karnataka region or Kalyana Karnataka region, at least these two issues might kind of go hand in hand, right? So thanks Kumar. And if we can, Girish, if we can talk a little bit about, while we are talking about identity politics and so on, a big question when we talk about North Karnataka elections is the Lingayat Lingayat vote bank politics. And one of the reasons for BJP's rise in North Karnataka is seen as Lingayat Veerashaivas moving towards BJP, just as Janata Parivar also moved towards BJP. So that is seen as a very big factor. And last elections, we saw this, some people demanding separate religion status for the Lingayats, which Siddaramaiah actually, supported, which we are told did not go down very well. And also there was this Panchamshali agitation. So there were various threads to this Lingayat issue and which way Lingayats would vote. So what does it look like this time, this election? So we have just about 10-15 minutes. So let's try and answer these.
The problem with the Lingayats is that they are not they are not united as such, like the Vokkaligas on some certain issues. The reason actually is the concept they believe in, the Basva Tattva, which also says that you should accept all and should also accept their opinions. So the same has gone not well in a way with the Lingayats, because they never tend to vote in one homogeneous chunk as such. And this was what Ramakrishna Hegde, the former chief minister, said with regard to the Lingayats, that they are not united as such. So here also, when it comes to voting pattern as a matter, Lingayats are not like they're not taking favoring one particular party as such, because after the departure of Ramakrishna Hegde, the Janta Parivar, which was mostly comprising of the Lingayat leaders from this region, they were in dilemma to go which way. And the Janta Parivar, the efforts of uniting the Janta Parivar did not go well. And they had no other alternative, because they were opposing Congress continuously and there was no other option. And BJP was the next option that was available to them. That's the reason why most of the Lingayat leaders went and joined BJP in that regard. But subsequently, what has happened over a period of time is that Lingayats, even today, for that matter, are not. The thinking is that majority of them will favor Lingayats. In the last election, many of the Lingayat MLAs, many of the Lingayat candidates from Congress, they have secured victory. Because if you go by the general feeling that Lingayats are going to favor BJP in one go, that we can say it's completely wrong, because of course there are people who support BJP as a community, but that is especially in the last election afterwards, and ever since the Lingayat movement happened, because BJP was the one which actually opposed the independent religion, the status, the movement for claiming independent religions for status for Lingayatism. While Siddaramaiah led the Congress government, they made a recommendation. Of course, it's another issue that BJP and Sangh Parivar and others, they built a narrative saying that Congress is trying to divide the community as a whole, which many among the Lingayats themselves don't believe. But that living that, there are people who still believe that BJP is acting against the principles of Basavarna, and that's the reason it should be they should go with Congress. But that quantity, that size is less compared to those who think that they should go with BJP, because the reason why most of the Lingayats are seen as supporters of BJP these days is the groundwork done by the Sangh Parivar, the Hindutva outfits in the villages, and especially they have captured the minds of the young Lingayat, especially those who are still into farming and who are doing businesses. So especially the young minds have been captured by the Sangh Parivar, and to some extent, one of them, in fact, one of the Lingayat leaders themselves, he was telling that they have been brainwashed to that extent that they are not able to listen to what the other, even the religious heads say. So, having said that, in this particular election, there is no clear swing as such with regard to whether Congress Lingayats will vote for BJP or Lingayats will vote for Congress. But comparatively, if you calculate that in terms of percentage, of course, Lingayats favoring BJP is comparatively a little bit more than the people who are supporting Congress.
Okay. So this is all one part of every time we talk about elections, we talk about caste, we talk about what are the narratives in campaign and so on. But another very important aspect that we tend to forget is what are actually the people's issues. So I want to quickly go to each of you and ask you what each of you think is a very important people's issue in your region is, which is either being talked about in the campaign or not being talked about in the campaign while it should have been. If we can start with you, Girish.
So with regard to North Karnataka as such, both are irrigation projects. One is the Upper Krishna project, and another one is the Kalsa Bandari Nala, also known as Mahadai diversion project. Actually, the project is mainly to divert water from Mahadai basin to Malaprabha basin, and nothing has happened even after 4 decades. That's a ground reality as of now. But both Congress and BJP have been engaged in blame game, putting the blame on Congress and putting the blame on BJP. Both the parties are doing that. That particular issue comes up for discussion before the elections, every election for that matter, in the last 4 to 5 decades. Every election, the issue comes up for discussion, but later, as the election campaign gains momentum, the issue is forgotten. The same has happened this time also. There is one protest which is going on since last 9 years, that is in Nargund, where the farmers are sitting on indefinite agitation with regard to Kalsa Bandori project. And every time the election comes, they raise the issue. And this time, none of them are speaking about the project as such. Only passing references are being made with regard to the Kalsa Bandori project. And as of now, the reality is that DPR has been prepared for Kalsa Bandori project. But as per the Madai Water Dispute Tribunal, unless you have the clearances from the Forest and Environmental Department, the project cannot be taken. So, and the case, the project is then that stage right now. Yeah. And with regard to UKP, there was demand for making it a national project because it's a huge investment is required, running into thousands of crores. And that again is a non-issue this time. In fact, nobody has spoken about that particular issue. Even a passing reference has not been made by the leaders, especially in Bagalkot, Bijapur, and Belagavi regions.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because UKP can actually change the nature of agriculture in many parts of if it goes through the way it should. Yeah, thanks, Girish.
After the
Okay. You were saying something else?
Yeah. After the Supreme Court gave its permission to raise the dam's height, nothing has been done yet. Because if you take up that project, then naturally there will be a lot of submersion of villages, and to overcome that, you need a lot of funds for rehabilitation, and that's the reason.
Land acquisition and rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. So Rishikesh, you want to tell me quickly in Belagavi and surrounding places what is a people's issue that should have been part of the election narrative, or whether it is or
there are two main issues. One is Belgaum is among the few districts that suffers both from flood and from drought. For example, in 2018 and 19, we had huge floods. In 2021, 22, 23, we have been having droughts. But no party, neither the opposition nor the ruling party is talking about it. It is not just about relief. It's about finding some kind of a permanent solution to these two problems. Flood problem, for example, there are several low-lying bridges, some of whom were built by the British, not by independent India. They are all at the level of the river. So most of them get flooded, especially in Chikkodi parliamentary constituency. There has been very little effort in trying to find a permanent solution to that. Secondly, a large part of Bagalkot district also suffers from flooding. That is mostly because of the lack of coordination between the three riparian states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Telangana. Even today, there is no automatic or autonomous system to control the flow of water in the three reservoirs. This is one problem. The second is the largest number of sugar factories and the largest amount of sugar produced is not the traditional sugar cane growing districts of South Karnataka, but of Belgaum and Bagalkot. However, there are some sugar factories. Most sugar factories are owned by politicians, either of this party or that. There are very few cooperative sugar factories. All those sugar factories which were started before 1990 are cooperative. Later, most of them are private. Now, there are some sugar factories which have pending dues from 20 years. This is considering only the old MSP, not the new FRP, fair and remunerative price. Only the old price, even that has not been paid. And courts routinely don't entertain such petitions because they consider it as a issue of contract law and not as a legally guaranteed MSP. So, sugar factory owners who tend to be leaders, politicians, ministers, MLAs, they have been avoiding the government diktat of saying that every sugarcane grower should be paid within 25 days of his submission and 15 days of crushing. Very few, neither the farmers organization nor political organizations have raised this issue. These are two main issues. There are, of course, the other long pending issue of VTU, Vishwesvaraya Technical University, being the largest technical university in South India, but not having a constituent government engineering college. That was raised some 10 years ago, but it is no longer being raised. Belagavi is also a district which does not have an agriculture college. That has also been not raised. So there are other issues, but these are 2-3 main important issues.
Okay, thank you. Kumar, do you want to quickly come in and say what you think is a big issue in Kalaburagi and in general Hyderabad Karnataka region that is not being talked about?
Yeah, well, Hyderabad Karnataka is the most backward region in the state as compared to the Malnad region, coastal Karnataka, South Karnataka, and even Kittur Karnataka, Mumbai Karnataka. So it is a very dry region, and it is suffered both from floods and droughts every year. So widespread migration is the biggest problem. If you go to any construction site in Bengaluru, and you will find one or the other laborer from Hyderabad, Karnataka, particularly Yadgir, Gulbarga, Alandanda, from these places. If you go to sugarcane fields in Bagalkote or Belagavi, you will find Lambani laborers from Chincholi working there in those sugar fields. So seasonal migration and permanent migration is the biggest problem, and nobody is addressing these issues. No political party, Congress, BJP, or any other for that matter. So,
according to you, this is the biggest.
Yeah, this is the biggest problem, and crop loss is a regular phenomena, and political parties are not paying any attention to these problems. Giving the NREGA, Congress has assured in his manifesto that the NREGA wages will be raised to 400 rupees. That is a passing. It will be like passing comment in the political campaign, but it is not focused adequately.
Okay. So if we can now, we have, I think, just about a minute left. So if we can quickly, all of you can quickly say, Congress has been talking a lot about its guarantee schemes, and we have a very bad drought this year. So how do you think, are guarantees actually helping people? Will they in any way swing votes in favor of Congress, or it's too little for the kind of hardship people are facing? If you can all tell me in like 2 sentences each, because we have 1 minute left.
Okay, like in terms of guarantees, there is a feeling that they have helped them a bit, especially in the drought-hit areas, wherein they were finding it difficult to find jobs, and also not able to have proper life as such. In those areas, definitely there is an impact being done by the guarantee schemes. But at the same time, you cannot say that only based on that the people are going to vote for Congress.
Okay. Rishikesh?
You see, the guarantee schemes are definitely the talk of the town. Everybody talks about it when you go to villages to ask them. What is I have observed interestingly is the poorest of the people, especially women, talk about them very loudly and very proudly. However, the middle classes, which also benefit from schemes like power subsidy, etc., they don't talk about it. They take the benefit of the scheme, but they speak against it. So it may lead to an influence of changing the votes of the poorest section and not the middle classes. This is my.
Okay. Thank you. Kumar, what do you say?
I think guarantee schemes will definitely benefit Congress this time because, as I see, even some traditional BJP supporting families, women that families are talking in favor of Congress because of the they are the beneficiaries of guarantee schemes, particularly this 2,000 rupees per month and free travel in government buses. So I think they will benefit the Congress this time.
Okay. Thank you so much. There's always so much more to talk, but we don't have the luxury of time. So we'll wind up for today, but we'll come back with more updates and more information on elections. Please do stay with the Hindu. Thank you.